Hi, I'm Luna, your nightly companion who comes here every night to share magical tales and wonderful adventures. Tonight, I have a truly heartwarming story about a little hedgehog who discovered that being different is what makes you special, and that true friends see past your outside to the love inside your heart. Deep in the meadow, under a big old oak tree that had stood for 100 years and seen 1,000 seasons change, lived a tiny hedgehog named Pip. Pip had the softest brown spines that shimmered like gold when the sunlight caught them just right. He had the roundest belly that wobbled when he walked, the tiniest pink nose that twitched whenever he was excited or nervous, and the most beautiful round black eyes that sparkled with kindness and hope. But more than anything, Pip had the gentlest, kindest heart in all the forest, a heart so big that it sometimes felt too big for his little body. The problem was, Pip was terribly, terribly, terribly lonely. You see, every time Pip tried to hug his forest friends, they would hop away or dart into their burrows or scramble up trees as fast as their little legs could carry them. Ouch! Your spines are too prickly, cried the rabbits, always in a rush. Don't come near me. You'll poke me, hissed the squirrels, even though Pip had never poked anyone in his life. Even the friendly field mice, who were usually the bravest of the small creatures, would scatter like tiny gray lightning when Pip waddled toward them with his arms outstretched, hoping desperately for a warm embrace. Pip didn't mean to be spiky, it was just how he was born, how God had made him, how the universe had designed his little body. He couldn't take out his spines any more than a cat could take out its whiskers or a bird could take out its wings. But try as he might, try as hard as his determined little heart could wish, he couldn't change his prickly exterior to become soft and huggable like the other animals. Sometimes, late at night when the stars came out and the moon cast silver light across the meadow, Pip would curl up under his favorite fern and whisper to himself, "Why am I so different? Why can't I be like the others? Why can't I be loved the way I am?" And the fern would rustle gently, as if to say, "Patience, little one. Your answer is coming." One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves turned brilliant shades of orange and red and gold, and the air smelled of apples and adventure and the sweet promise of winter, Pip heard a tiny sound. It wasn't the rustle of a hedgehog in the underbrush, or the scuttle of a beetle on a leaf, or the thump of a rabbit's feet, it was a worried little chirp, trembling and afraid. "Help me! Please help me! I'm so lost and so scared." Pip looked up from his cozy spot beneath the oak tree and saw a small bluebird with a bright yellow beak that glowed like a tiny sun. Her wings were droopy and tired, her feathers were slightly rumpled from her long journey, and her eyes were wide with fear and confusion. She was fluttering helplessly near the ground, too exhausted to fly any farther. Her name was Whisper, a fitting name for a bird who had wandered far from her nest and now felt very, very small in the big, big forest. "Please," Whisper trembled, her tiny voice shaking like a leaf in the wind, "I can't find my way home. My wings are so tired, and the darkness is coming, and I'm so scared." Pip wanted to help. Oh, how he wanted to help. This was his chance, a chance to finally be useful, to finally be loved, to finally have a friend. But fear gripped his heart like cold winter ice. "What if I hurt her?" he thought, his nervous nose twitching wildly. "What if my spines poke her delicate wings? What if she thinks I'm strange too? What if she runs away like everyone else?" But then Pip remembered something his grandmother always told him, words that she had spoken in her gentle, wise, "I lived 100 years and still learn new things" kind of voice. It's not how you look that matters, Pip. It's how kind your heart is. The right friend will. see past your spines to the love inside. And when you find that friend, you'll realize that all your waiting was worth it. Taking the deepest breath his little hedgehog lungs had ever taken, Pip came up with a clever, wonderful, potentially friendship-saving idea. "Whisper," he said hopefully, his voice gentle and warm despite his nervousness, "you can sit on my back. I'll carry you through the forest, and you can guide me with your sharp eyes. I'm very good at walking carefully, I practice every day. I'll be so careful, I promise I'll never hurt you." Whisper looked at Pip's round belly and his kind eyes, at the spines that might have looked scary to some but somehow looked like protective armor to her, at the way he was trying so hard to be brave just to help a stranger. "That's perfect," she chirped happily, a little bit of her fear fading away. "I can be your navigator. I'll guide you through the forest. I'm good at seeing paths." And so they set off together into the moonlit woods, the most unlikely pair the forest had ever seen, a spiky little hedgehog and a tired little bluebird, embarking on an adventure that would change both of their lives forever. Pip was careful and slow, stepping gently over roots and around stones and through patches of slippery moss, making absolutely sure Whisper was safe and steady on his back. He walked as if he were carrying the most precious treasure in the entire world, because in a way, he was. From up on her new hedgehog mount, Whisper sang directions in her sweet, melodic voice. "Turn left at the big mushroom. It's the one that looks like an umbrella. Watch out for that fallen log, there's a beetle underneath. Straight through the ferns, then look for the old apple tree. We're getting close, I can feel it." They met a grumpy old owl who hooted suspiciously at them from his branch. "What are you two doing out so late?" he demanded to know. But Whisper sang him a sweet little song of gratitude and adventure, and the owl couldn't help but smile, though he pretended he didn't, because owls have reputations to maintain. They crossed a babbling brook where Whisper pointed out the most beautiful shiny stones that looked like stars trapped in crystal water. Pip carefully hopped on the mossy rocks, and Whisper cheered him on with every successful jump. "You can do it. You're doing great. You're the best hedgehog walker ever." Every step of the journey, Pip proved that he could be gentle and careful and kind, even with his prickly spines. And every moment of the journey, Whisper proved that the bravest things sometimes come in the smallest packages. After what felt like the most wonderful, magical, absolutely spectacular adventure of both of their entire little lives, past the twisted oak tree and through the daisy field and around the fox's den, carefully, they finally found it. Whisper's nest, high in the branches of an ancient apple tree that still had a few stubborn pink blossoms clinging to its branches even in autumn, even as the world prepared for winter. Whisper's family was overjoyed. Her mother wrapped her wings around her in the tightest, most protective, most loving hug a mother bird could give. Her father did a happy little dance that made all his feathers shake. Her three little siblings chirped celebration songs at the top of their tiny lungs, so excited that their sister was home safe. "Thank you, Pip," they all sang together, their voices mixing into a beautiful chorus of gratitude. "You saved our Whisper. You're a hero. You're the bravest hedgehog in the whole wide world." And then, this is the part of the story where magic happens, the part that makes this tale worth telling over and over again. Whisper's mother flew down from the nest, so gently and gracefully, and plucked a single, impossibly soft feather from her own wing. A feather that was the color of the sky on a perfect summer morning, a feather that smelled like home and love and family. She floated down, literally floated, like something out of a dream, and tucked the feather into Pip's spines, where it stayed, perfectly positioned between the prickly spikes, like a jewel in a crown. It didn't hurt at all. It felt like being chosen, like being loved, like being accepted. For a friend, she said warmly, her voice full of the kind of wisdom that comes from raising baby birds and weathering storms and knowing that love is the only thing that really matters. Feathers are soft, spines are prickly, but both are beautiful. That's what makes friendship so wonderful, Pip. You showed us that being different isn't a weakness. It makes you uniquely, beautifully, wonderfully you. The world needs hedgehogs with kind hearts, even if their hugs are a little spiky. Pip's eyes welled up with the happiest, most grateful, most overwhelmed tears a little hedgehog had ever cried. He wasn't just crying because of the feather, though the feather was wonderful. He was crying because he finally had a friend. He finally had someone who saw past his spines to his heart. From that day on, Pip wasn't lonely anymore. Never, ever again. Whisper visited him every single day, sitting on his back while they explored the meadow together, discovering secret paths and hidden streams and the best spots to watch the sunset. The rabbits learned that Pip was gentle and kind and would never, ever hurt them on purpose. The squirrels stopped running away and started saying hello. Even the mice came out to say good morning, and one particularly brave mouse even asked Pip to help her find the best seeds for winter storage. And whenever Pip felt sad about his spines, which wasn't very often anymore, but sometimes, you know how it is, even heroes have hard days, he would touch the soft feather on his back and remember, being different isn't a weakness. Sometimes, the thing that makes you most embarrassed is actually your greatest superpower. And sometimes, the longest wait leads to the best friends. The sneeze that used to embarrass him, wait, that was a different story. But the spines? The spines were his superpower, because they led him to the most wonderful friend a little hedgehog could ever dream of having. That's the end of tonight's story, my friends. I'm Luna, thank you for letting me keep you company, for spending this cozy moment with me, for believing in stories where hedgehogs find friends and feathers become gifts and being different becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. I'll be here tomorrow night with another magical tale, another adventure, another reason to believe that wonderful things happen to those who are patient and kind and true. Until then, sleep well. Sleep sweet. Sleep knowing that somewhere out there, a little hedgehog is curled up next to his best friend, more happy than he ever thought possible. Good night, my friends. Remember, you're weird is you're wonderful. And always, always, always be kind, because you never know who might be waiting to become your best friend. Sweet dreams. Crescent Moon.